Today, we're tackling a really foundational work, Stephen R. Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
It's a big one. Definitely shaped a lot of thinking.
Absolutely. We want to really distill the core messages, get into that principle-centered approach he talks about.
To give you a solid, usable understanding of why it clicked for so many people, and honestly, why it still feels so relevant.
Because Covey starts by looking at why traditional self-help sometimes misses the mark.
It does. He did this fascinating review looking back at 200 years of success literature in America. And he noticed something had changed, a kind of historical shift in focus.
And that shift, that's the key to understanding why people often feel stuck, isn't it? Folks achieving massive career goals, maybe making tons of money.
But then they look around and their family life is just gone, or they feel completely underwater, can't even keep promises they make to themselves.
These are deep problems, real structural issues.
Exactly. And Covey's whole point is that you can't slap a quick fix, some kind of technique, onto these deep problems and expect it to work long term.
So what did he find in that historical literature?
He saw this move away from what he called the character ethic.
The character ethic. Okay, what did that involve?
That was the older focus, the foundation for the first 150 years he looked at. It was all about what he called primary greatness. Principles like integrity, humility, fidelity, courage, justice, patience, the deep-seated stuff. The idea was that success, real effectiveness, flowed naturally from building that inner character.
Makes sense. Building a strong foundation before you put up the house.
Precisely. But then he noticed, especially after World War I, a drift. A pretty significant drift towards what he termed the personality ethic.
Okay, personality ethic. How's that different?
It's more about the surface, secondary traits. Things like your public image, communication skills, having a positive attitude, influence tactics, positive thinking.
The stuff that makes you look good, appear successful.
And Covey is careful here. He's not saying these skills aren't important. They absolutely are. You need them to function, to interact.
All right, you need to communicate well.
Of course. But his point, and it's a crucial one, is that these secondary traits only have lasting value, real staying power, if they're built on that primary foundation of character.
Okay. So using charm or influence techniques without real integrity underneath, it's like a shortcut that eventually fails.
Exactly. It might work for a bit, short-term gains, maybe, but life throws challenges at you. Stress happens, and if you don't have that core strength, that integrity, people see through it pretty quickly.
Trust breaks down.
Trust evaporates.
Oops,
And long-term in relationships and meaningful work, that's fatal. You just run out of credibility, essentially.
So this really sets the stage for the whole book. You can't just jump into the habits without getting this foundation first.
You really can't. And that leads us right into maybe the most fundamental concept of all, even before habit one, the idea of a paradigm.
Paradigm. I've heard that word a lot. Sometimes feels a bit jargony. What does Covey mean by it?
Think of it simply as your mental map. It's your frame of reference, the model you use to understand the world. It's how you see things.
Like a lens you look through.
Exactly like a lens. And it shapes how you interpret literally everything you experience. Your assumptions about how things are and maybe how they should be.
And he uses that great analogy, the map isn't the territory.
Yes. It's so vivid. Imagine you're trying to navigate Chicago, but the map you have is actually for Detroit. You could be incredibly diligent, super positive, working really hard at following that map.
But you're just going to get more and more lost. Your effort and attitude only get you to the wrong place faster.
Precisely. So the issue isn't always your behavior or your attitude. Sometimes the fundamental problem is the map itself, your paradigm.
So we're interpreting everything through these mental maps. And he says there were two kinds.
Broadly, yeah. Maps of reality, sort of the way things are, and maps of values, the way things should be.
And the tricky part is, we rarely question our maps. We just assume our way of seeing things is reality.
That's the kicker. We think we're objective. Covey uses that classic psychological image, the one that can look like a young woman or an old woman.
Oh yeah, I know that one. You see one and it's hard to see the other.
And he points out you can be conditioned for just 10 seconds to see one version, and that conditioning powerfully shapes your perception. Makes it really difficult to see the other perspective even when someone points it out.
So if 10 seconds can do that, imagine what a lifetime of conditioning from family, culture, experiences does to our maps.
It's profound. And this loops back to integrity. If what we say and do, our behavior, doesn't match up with how we genuinely see things, our paradigm, we feel that inner conflict, that lack of integrity.
You can't just talk yourself into acting differently long term if your underlying view hasn't changed.
You really can't. It feels fake, unsustainable. which is why when a real paradigm shift happens, the change can feel almost instantaneous. He calls it a quantum change.
Like that story from the subway. That one always stuck with me.
It's powerful. Covey's on the subway by this guy whose kids are just running wild, making noise, bothering people.
Yeah, his map is saying good parents control their kids. This guy isn't doing it, so he must be inconsiderate, negligent.
Right. His irritation builds based entirely on that map. So he finally decides to say something, turns to the father.
And the father looks up, dazed, and explains they just came from the hospital. His wife, the kid's mother, had died just an hour before.
Boom. Instant paradigm shift.
Everything changes in that second. The irritation just vanishes.
Completely. Replaced by compassion, understanding. He didn't have to try to feel differently. Seeing the situation through a new lens, a more accurate map, automatically changed his feelings and his potential response.
It shows the power of seeing differently. But there's a catch, isn't there? He mentions something about character limiting the shift.
That's a really insightful point he makes later. While the perception can shift instantly, your ability to respond effectively, or even to see differently in the first place, is often limited by your underlying character.
So you need that foundation of proactivity, empathy, integrity, the character ethic stuff, to even be open to or capable of handling those paradigm shifts constructively. You earn the shift.
You have to earn it, exactly. And
Yep.
that insight really provides the framework for the whole structure of the 7 habits themselves.
Which he lays out on this thing called the maturity continuum.
It's not just a random list of habits. They're progressive,
Yeah.
sequential. You build one on the next. You can't really skip steps effectively.
Okay, so where does it start?
It starts with dependence. This is the paradigm of you. Think about infancy, childhood. You take care of me. You feed me. If something goes wrong, it's your fault. Our security comes from outside ourselves.
We all start there.
We all start there. The first major movement, the goal of the first 3 habits, is towards independence.
That's the paradigm of being.
Exactly. I can do it. I am responsible. I am self-reliant. I can choose. This is a huge achievement. Getting free from external control, taking ownership. In a lot of societal views, independence is the ultimate goal.
But Covey says, nope, not the peak.
Not the peak. Because life, reality, is fundamentally interdependent. So the highest level of maturity, the most effective way to operate in the world, is interdependence.
Which is the paradigm of we.
We can do it. We can cooperate. We can combine our talents and create something much greater together than we could alone. This is where synergy happens, where deep, rich relationships thrive.
But, and this is key, you can't jump straight from dependence to interdependence.
You absolutely can't. A dependent person trying to operate in an interdependent world, it doesn't work. They haven't developed the inner strength, the self-mastery. They might talk we, but they act you, expecting others to carry them or blaming others.
It becomes codependence, maybe, or just ineffective teamwork.
Right. Interdependence is a choice. And it's a choice that only truly independent people can make effectively. You need that core of self-reliance and character first.
That makes sense. You need to be strong yourself before you can genuinely collaborate as an equal.
Precisely. The private victory precedes the public victory.
Okay, and governing this whole process, this movement along the continuum, is another core concept. The PPC balance. This ties into effectiveness itself.
That is his definition of effectiveness. It's fundamental. P stands for production, the desired results, the golden eggs, as he calls them.
The outcome, the sales figures, the clean room, the finished project.
Exactly. And PC stands for production capability. That's the asset, the resource, the thing that produces the results. In the analogy, it's the goose that lays the golden eggs.
Youth and the golden eggs. Classic fable.
And the lesson is clear, right? If you focus only on P maximizing those golden eggs right now and you neglect PC,
You kill the goose.
you kill the goose, you wear out the asset. Think about a physical asset, like a machine. Push it relentlessly for output, P. Skip the maintenance, BC. You get great numbers for a while, then the machine breaks down. Permanent.
And this applies to human assets too, like health or relationships.
Especially relationships, probably the most important application. In a marriage, for instance. If you're only focused on getting the golden eggs, the benefits, the good feelings, having your needs met without consistently investing in the relationship itself, making those deposits, showing kindness, listening, PC.
The relationship itself, the goose starts to wither.
It deteriorates. Trust erodes. The capacity for future happiness, future golden eggs diminishes. You might feel efficient in getting what you want short term, but you're destroying the very foundation.
I could see that in parenting too. The example of the clean room.
Perfect example. Your goal is the clean room. P. You might get it by yelling, nagging, threatening, focusing only on P. But in the process, you damage the child's self-esteem, your relationship, the trust. You destroy the PC.
And then next time, it's even harder to get the room clean. You've weakened the goose.
Exactly. You've undermined their willingness, their commitment. Future production becomes much harder, maybe only possible through more coercion. So true effectiveness isn't just about getting results now. It's about balancing the results with maintaining the capacity to get results in the future.
That PPC balance, it's a constant check. My actions building both P and PC?
That's the guiding principle. It keeps the focus on long-term sustainability and principle-centered living, not just short-term fixes or appearing effective.
Okay. Let's dive into phase 1 then. The private victory, habits 1, 2, and 3. Moving from dependence to independence. This is the internal work.
This is the foundation. Self-mastery, character growth. Like Covey says, you can't harvest before you plant. These habits are the planting.
So, habit 1, be proactive. This sounds fundamental.
It is the foundation of all the others. It's about taking responsibility. The core idea is responsibility, the ability to choose your response. Your behavior is a function of your decisions, not just your conditions.
But so much of our culture pushes back against that, the deterministic ideas.
Absolutely. He identifies 3 main deterministic maps that people often use, consciously or unconsciously, to avoid responsibility.
Okay, what are they?
First, genetic determinism. It's in my DNA. My grandparents had bad tempers, so I do too. It's basically blaming your ancestors.
Okay.
Second, empathic determinism. My parents did it to me. Blaming your upbringing, your childhood experiences, saying your personality was fixed back then.
And the third?
Environmental determinism. This is blaming your current situation. My boss is making me miserable. My spouse is the problem. The economy is holding me back.
So all these maps basically say, I'm not responsible. Something outside of me is controlling my life.
Exactly. They're all based on the stimulus response theory. Pavlov's dog, stimulus happens, you react automatically. Conditioned response.
But humans aren't dogs.
Precisely. And the most powerful illustration against determinism comes from the experiences of Viktor Frankl.
The psychiatrist in the Nazi concentration camps.
Yes. Frankl endured the absolute worst of conditions. Stripped of everything, possessions, family, dignity, profession. His external environment was totally controlled, designed to dehumanize.
Unimaginable.
Yet, even there, Frankl made a profound discovery. He realized that between the stimulus, the horrific treatment, and his response, there was a space, a gap, a space where he could choose. He called it the last of the human freedoms. They could control his body, his circumstances, but they couldn't control his inner response, his attitude towards his suffering.
He could choose the meaning he gave it.
He chose to find meaning, to visualize lecturing about the psychology of the camps after his release. He used his internal resources to maintain his identity, his integrity. That space, that freedom to choose your response, Covey argues, is central to being human.
And that freedom comes from specific human gifts. He lists 4 endowments.
Yes, these are what separate us from the animal in this regard. Let's unpack them quickly because they're key to proactivity. First, self-awareness. The ability to stand apart from yourself, observe your own thoughts, moods, conditioning, to see the map you're using.
Crucial. Second.
Imagination. The ability to create beyond your present reality, to visualize different possibilities, better futures, solutions. Conscience, that inner sense of right and wrong. An awareness of principles that govern effective living, your internal moral compass.
And fourth.
Independent will. This is the capacity to act, to make choices and act on them, based on your self-awareness, imagination, and conscience, independent of other influences or past conditioning.
Wow, put those 4 together. That's real power. The power to break free from just reacting.
It is, and a really simple way to see where you stand, whether you're operating from a proactive or reactive script, is just to listen to your language.
How so?
Reactive language deflects responsibility. Things like, he makes me so mad, or there's nothing I can do, I have to go to this meeting, I can't. It's the language of victimhood.
It puts the control outside yourself.
Completely. Proactive language, on the other hand, reflects choice and ownership. I control my own feelings. Let's look at our alternatives. I choose to go. I prefer. Even when facing difficult circumstances, the language is about your response.
It's subtle but powerful.
Yeah.
I get to versus I have to.
Huge difference in mindset and energy. And this choice, this proactivity, directly influences where we focus our time and energy. Covey talks about the circles.
Right, the circle of concern and the circle of influence.
Exactly. Your circle of concern includes everything you care or worry about: the national debt, nuclear war, the weather, what other people think of you, their mistakes. It can be huge.
All the stuff that might stress us out, but we can't directly control.
Right. Inside that is your circle of influence. This contains the things you can actually do something about: your habits, your skills, your attitude, your choices, how you treat others.
So reactive people focus where?
Reactive people tend to pour their energy into the circle of concern. They focus on the weaknesses of other people, problems in the environment, circumstances they can't control. They blame, accuse, complain.
And what happens to their circle of influence when they do that?
It shrinks. Focusing on things you can't control generates negative energy, reinforces feelings of powerlessness, and actually reduces your ability to impact the things you could control. You become more of a victim.
But proactive people?
Proactive people focus their time and energy inside their circle of influence. They work on the things they can change themselves: their skills, their knowledge, their responses, their contribution.
And the result?
Their circle of influence expands. As they build strength, competence, and trust, they gain more influence, more ability to affect positive change. This focus is the starting point for solving any problem, whether it's direct control, your own behavior, indirect control, influencing others, or no control, accepting reality.
Even when you make a mistake, which you can't undo.
The proactive response is immediate. Acknowledge it, correct it if possible, and learn from it. Turn that failure into a learning experience, which is back inside your circle of influence. Not acknowledging it is a second, deeper mistake.
Okay, so habit 1 is foundational. Take responsibility, focus on what you can control. That gives you the power to move to habit 2.
Yes. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. If habit 1 says you are the programmer, habit 2 says write the program. This is the habit of personal leadership.
Leadership, okay. How does that connect to the end in mind?
It's based on the principle that all things are created twice. There's a first creation, which is mental or intellectual, and a second creation, which is physical.
Like building a house. First the blueprint, then the actual construction.
Exactly. You wouldn't dream of starting the physical construction without a clear plan, a blueprint. The mental creation precedes and guides the physical creation. Habit 2 is about ensuring that first creation, your personal blueprint, is sound.
And how do you figure out that blueprint, that end?
The most powerful way Covey suggests is the funeral visualization.
Yeah, that's intense. Picture your own funeral.
Right. Years down the road, who's there? What do you want your spouse, your child, your colleague, your friend to say about you? What kind of person do you want them to remember? What contribution?
Wow, that really forces you to define what success truly means to you on the deepest level, beyond just the job title or bank account.
It connects your daily choices to your ultimate values. Are the things you're pouring your energy into today contributing to the legacy you want to leave? It helps you define your personal end.
Because otherwise,
Yeah.
you can get caught in the activity trap.
The activity trap. Busy. Climbing the ladder of success, working incredibly hard, being super efficient.
Only to reach the top and realize
The ladder's leaning against the wrong wall. All that effort, all that efficiency was ultimately wasted because you didn't clarify the right destination first.
that's a chilling thought. And it highlights the difference between leadership and management.
Crucial distinction. Management is about efficiency in climbing the ladder, doing things right. It focuses on the bottom line. How can I best accomplish these tasks?
But leadership,
Leadership is about deciding which wall the ladder should be on in the first place, doing the right things. It deals with the top line. What are the results we want to achieve? What's our purpose?
he uses the jungle analogy, right? Managers sharpening machetes, leaders climbing the tree.
Yeah, the managers are down there super efficient, clearing the undergrowth. But the leader needs to climb the tallest tree, survey the landscape, and yell, "Wrong jungle!"
Management efficiency can't compensate for a failure in leadership, a failure to pick the right jungle. Habit 2 is about being your own leader first.
Exactly. And the most effective tool for doing that, for solidifying that end in mind, is to develop a personal mission statement,
Your personal constitution.
your personal constitution.
Yeah.
It's a way to capture your vision and values. It focuses not just on what you want to do, achievements, contributions, but fundamentally on who you want to be, your character.
Grounded in principles.
Grounded in core, unchanging principles. It helps you define your key life roles: spouse, parent, friend, professional, community member, and set meaningful long-term intentions for each.
And writing one isn't just a logical left brain exercise, is it?
No, he emphasizes using your whole brain. Tapping into that right brain capacity of visualization, intuition, creativity, conscience. It's about crafting something that resonates deeply, that inspires you. Not just a list of goals, but a statement of purpose and being.
So habit 1 gives responsibility, habit 2 gives direction. Where does habit 3 take us?
Habit 3, put first things first. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's the habit of personal management, the second creation, the physical execution.
Okay, leadership was habit 2, now management.
Right. This is organizing and executing around the priorities you identified in habit 2, using the proactive self-awareness from habit 1. It's powered by your independent will.
And he says it's measured by personal integrity.
Yes, specifically your ability to make commitments and promises to yourself and keep them. Can you subordinate your feelings, impulses, and moods to your values? Can you walk your talk? That's integrity in action.
So how do you manage effectively? How do you put first things first in practice?
The key tool here is the time management matrix. It's probably one of the most famous parts of the book.
The 4 quadrants.
The 4 quadrants. Activities are categorized based on 2 criteria, urgency and importance.
Okay, let's break them down. Quadrant 1.
Quadrant 1 is urgent and important. These are crises, pressing problems, deadline-driven projects, things that demand immediate attention and are truly significant. Firefighting mode.
Stressful place to live. Quadrant 3. Skipping a second for a moment.
Quadrant 3 is urgent but not important. These are interruptions, some calls, some meetings, some mail, popular activities. They feel urgent because they press on you, demand reaction, but they don't actually contribute to your core mission or goals. Often, it's other people's priorities.
The deception quadrant, sometimes called. Feels productive, but isn't. Okay.
Quadrant 4 is not urgent and not important. These are time wasters. Trivia, busy work, excessive relaxation, mindless scrolling. The escape quadrant.
Which leaves the crucial one. Quadrant 2.
Quadrant 2. Not urgent, but important. This is the heart of effective personal management.
What kinds of things live here?
Prevention activities, relationship building, recognizing new opportunities, planning, recreation, exercise, learning, preparation, basically all the PC activities, building capacity, sharpening the saw.
The stuff that builds long-term effectiveness but doesn't usually scream for attention right now.
Exactly. Crises act on you. You have to react, but quadrant 2, you have to act on it. It requires proactivity, self-discipline, initiative. It's easy to put off because they aren't urgent.
Until they become the crises.
Well,
like neglecting health until you have a heart attack, or neglecting a relationship until it's broken.
Precisely. Effective people minimize time spent in 3rd and 4, handle I efficiently, and focus the bulk of their time and energy proactively in quadrant 2.
But where does the time for quadrant 2 come from? Life feels so full already.
It has to come primarily from quadrants 3rd and 4. You have to learn to say no to the urgent but not important and the not urgent and not important.
Saying no can be hard, especially to urgent things that seem good, even if not the most important.
That's often the biggest battle.
And a major way to leverage your time, especially as you move towards working with others, is delegation.
Huge lever. But Covey stresses there are 2 very different kinds of delegation.
Okay.
First, there's gopher delegation. This is focused on methods, micromanagement. Go for this, go for that, do it this way, tell me when you're done.
Like the person directing every single step of a task.
It's inefficient, stifles the other person's initiative, and keeps the manager bogged down in the details. It doesn't build PC in the person being delegated to.
What's the alternative?
Stewardship delegation. This focuses on results, not methods. It empowers the other person.
How does that work? What do you need to clarify?
5 things need to be clear up front. Desired results, what success looks like, the what, not the how. Guidelines, boundaries, or principles they need to operate within. Resources, what support is available, human, financial, technical. Accountability, the standards of performance and how results will be evaluated. And consequences, what follows from the evaluation, good and bad.
That green and clean yard example really illustrates this.
Perfectly. The parent doesn't dictate how the son keeps the yard green and clean, just defines the standard results. Sets maybe some basic rules like safety, guidelines, provides the mower and tools, resources, checks weekly, accountability, and links it to allowance or privileges, consequences.
And the son takes ownership. He becomes the manager of the task. It builds his responsibility, his PC.
Exactly. It's a massive shift from managing methods to empowering people for results. And that ability to trust and empower others, built on your own private victory, habits 1, 2, 3, is what makes the public victory possible.
Which brings us smoothly into phase 2, the public victory, habits 4, 5, and 6. moving from independence to interdependence.
Right. This is about working effectively with others, building strong relationships, communication, cooperation. But again, it has to be built on the foundation of character and self-mastery.
You can't fake it in the long run.
You really can't. And the bedrock of all successful interdependent relationships is what Covey calls the emotional bank account, EBA.
The EBA. Explain that metaphor.
Think of it like a financial bank account, but for trust in a relationship. You make deposits through courtesy, kindness, honesty, keeping promises, meeting expectations. These build up a reserve of trust.
And withdrawals.
Withdrawals happen through discourtesy, disrespect, breaking promises, ignoring the other person, showing duplicity. These drain the account.
So when the account balance is high,
Communication is easy, open, effective. Mistakes are forgiven quickly because there's a high trust level, you have collateral.
but if the account is low or overdrawn,
Every interaction is tense, you're walking on eggshells, every word is scrutinized, often misinterpreted negatively. There's no trust buffer. Relationships become transactional or break down completely.
makes sense. He lists 6 major ways to make deposits. Let's maybe highlight a couple that really stand out.
One is attending to the little things. Small courtesies, acts of kindness, remembering details about someone. These often have a disproportionately large impact on the EBA. Like remembering someone's preferred coffee, or that example of putting a coat over a sleeping child without being asked. Small things matter hugely in relationships.
They show you care, you're paying attention. What's another big one?
Showing personal integrity. And Covey makes a really sharp distinction here. He says honesty is conforming our words to reality, telling the truth. Integrity is conforming reality to our words, keeping our promises, fulfilling commitments.
Ah, that's a powerful difference. Integrity as making reality match what you said you do.
Yes. And a specific application of this that builds massive trust is being loyal to those who are absent.
Ooh, explain that.
If you criticize someone behind their back, say, bad-mouthing your boss to a coworker, what does that coworker learn about you?
They learn you'll probably do the same thing to them when they're not around.
Exactly. It's a huge withdrawal from the EBA with the person you're talking to, even if they seem to agree with you in the moment. Conversely, defending someone who isn't present, speaking about them with respect, builds incredible trust with the people who are present. They know you're consistent, principled.
Loyalty to the absent builds trust with the present.
Wow. Okay, so with a healthy EBA built on integrity, we can move to habit 4.
Habit 4. Think win-win. This isn't just a technique. It's a total philosophy of human interaction, a frame of mind and heart.
And it comes from a certain mindset. It stems from what Covey calls the abundance mentality, the paradigm that there's plenty out there for everybody. One person's success doesn't mean another has to fail. Life isn't a zero-sum game.
As opposed to the scarcity mentality, which sees life as a fixed pie.
Yeah.
If you get a big slice, there's less for me.
Exactly. The scarcity mentality leads to the other, less effective paradigms of interaction.
Like what?
There's win-lose, the authoritarian approach. I get my way, you don't. Competitive, positional. Then there's loose win, the people pleaser. I'll give in to keep the peace even if it hurts me. No courage, high consideration.
Then there's lose-lose.
Yeah, when two stubborn win-lose people clash, or someone is bent on revenge, if I'm going down, you're coming with me. Also, win just focusing on getting what you want, regardless of others' needs.
So win-win is seeking mutual benefit. But is it always possible? What about genuine competition?
That's where maturity and judgment come in. Win-win requires a high degree of both courage and consideration.
Courage and consideration. Explain that balance.
Courage is the willingness to state your feelings, needs, and convictions clearly. Consideration is the willingness to deeply listen to and respect the other person's feelings, needs, and convictions.
So high courage, low consideration is win-lose. High consideration, low courage is lose-win.
Right. Win-win requires being high on both. Assertive about your needs and sensitive and responsive to theirs. It takes maturity, security, from habits 1 to 3, and that abundance mentality.
What if you try for win-win, but the other party won't play? Or a mutually beneficial solution truly isn't possible without compromising core values?
That's where the 6th paradigm comes in. Win-win or no deal.
No deal.
Yes. If you can't reach a solution that genuinely benefits both parties and aligns with your values, you agree to disagree agreeably. No deal. It's better to preserve their relationship and integrity by walking away respectfully than to force a bad compromise, loose, or an unsustainable win-lose outcome. This requires knowing your values. Habit 2.
And for win-win to truly work in, say, an organization, the systems have to support it, right?
Absolutely critical. If the reward system, the compensation, the training, the performance reviews are all set up for win-lose, example, ranking employees against each other, only rewarding top performers, then talking about win-win teamwork is just lip service. The system will undermine the philosophy every time.
You need win-win agreements, win-win systems, win-win processes. It has to be holistic.
It does, which leads us directly into the how of achieving win-win, which is habit 5.
Habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. This sounds like Communication 101, but it's harder than it sounds.
Much harder. Because our default mode almost universally is to seek first to be understood. We listen with the intent to reply, not to understand.
While the other person is talking, we're already formulating our response, our rebuttal, our advice.
Exactly. We filter everything they say through our own experiences, our own autobiography. Covey identifies 4 typical ways we listen autobiographically. We evaluate, immediately agree or disagree. We probe, ask questions, but from our own frame of reference, our own agenda. We advise, jump in with counsel based on our experience, or we interpret, try to figure out their motives, explain their behavior based on our psychology.
And none of those is actually understanding them from their perspective.
Not at all. They block true understanding. Covey uses the analogy of an optometrist. You wouldn't trust an eye doctor who glanced at you and immediately handed you his own glasses saying, "Here, try these. They work for me."
No way. You expect a diagnosis before a prescription.
Right. You need confidence in the diagnosis first.
Yep.
And it's the same in communication. People won't be open to your prescription, your advice, your perspective until they feel deeply understood, diagnosed. They need to feel you get their situation, their feelings, their point of view.
That dialogue he includes between the father and the teenage son about school, that's painful to read because it's so common.
It really is. The son says, "School is for the birds," just expressing a feeling. The father immediately jumps in with evaluation. You shouldn't say that. Probing, what's wrong? Advice, when I was your age. Interpretation, you're just not applying yourself.
And a son just clams up, shuts down communication. He didn't get the psychological air he needed.
Exactly. What's needed is empathic listening. Listening with the intent to understand. Not just hearing the words, but trying to grasp the feeling, the meaning, the perspective behind them. Seeing the world through their eyes for a moment.
It's about reflecting feeling, maybe summarizing content to show you're tracking with them.
Yes, until they feel that satisfying sense of, yes, that's it, you get it. Only then, when the EBA deposit of understanding has been made, are they typically open to hearing your perspective or considering your advice.
And sometimes just being deeply understood is enough for the person to solve their own problem.
Often, like peeling an onion, he says. As they feel understood, they open up more, explore deeper levels, and often the solution becomes clear to them in the process. That Frigidaire story is a great example, too.
Right, the seemingly irrational hang-up about the appliance brand.
Covey saw it as illogical, key efficiency focus. But through empathic listening, the real root emerged. Deep loyalty to her father, whose business Frigidaire helped save during the Depression, PC relationship value. Understanding that transformed the whole issue.
Seek first to understand. It's the key to unlocking habit 6.
Absolutely. Habit 6, synergize. This is the habit of creative cooperation.
Synergy. The idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. 1 + 1 = 3 or more.
Exactly. It's the highest activity in life, Covey says. True synergy emerges when you combine the win-win mindset, habit 4, with the skills of empathic communication, habit 5, all built on the personal security of habits 1 to 3.
How does valuing differences play into this? That seems counterintuitive sometimes.
It's crucial. Remember the young woman picture? The fact that 2 reasonable people can see the same thing differently isn't a problem, it's an opportunity. Their different perspectives add richness. Synergy happens when we genuinely value those differences, seeing them as a resource, not a threat.
Instead of fighting over who's right, you use the different views to create something new.
You create the third alternative. Not my way, not your way, but a third way that's better than either of us came up with initially. It's not compromise, where 1 + 1 = 1.5, everyone loses something. It's true creation, where 1 + 1 = 3, or 10, or 100.
Like that family trying to plan a vacation. Husband wants fishing, wife needs to see her sick mother.
Classic synergy example. A compromise might be splitting the time, leaving both feeling rushed and unfulfilled. Win-lose means one person gets their way, the other resents it.
But the synergistic solution?
By really understanding the deep needs behind the desires, the husband's need for relaxation and family fun, the wife's need for connection and fulfilling family duty, PC, they brainstorm. Maybe they find a place near the mother where they can do both. Visit her daily, but also have recreational activities nearby. It meets both fundamental needs more effectively than the original plans or a compromise.
It takes trust, creativity, and that commitment to mutual benefit.
It does. And synergy is also powerful in dealing with problems or negative situations. Using something called force field analysis,
How does that work?
any situation has driving forces pushing for change and restraining forces holding it back. Often we just try to push harder on the driving forces, more pressure, more incentives.
Which often increases the resistance, the restraining forces.
Exactly. Synergy works differently. By using empathic understanding, habit 5, to identify and address the restraining forces, the fears, the concerns, the misunderstandings, you reduce the resistance. The driving forces then naturally take over, and change happens more smoothly and sustainably. You work with the forces, not against them.
Wow. Okay, so private victory, 1 to 3, builds independence. Public victory, 4 to 6, achieves interdependence and synergy. What's left?
The habit that makes it all sustainable. Phase 3, continuous improvement. Habit 7.
Habit 7, sharpen the saw.
This is the habit of self-renewal. Personal PC. Preserving and enhancing the greatest asset you have, which is you.
The goose that lays all the golden eggs.
Precisely. Habit 7 encompasses all the other habits and makes them possible. If you don't take time to renew yourself, you burn out. The saw gets dull. You become ineffective.
It's a quadrant 2 activity, right? Important, but rarely feels urgent until it's too late.
Absolutely. It requires proactive effort. And Covey stresses renewal needs to be balanced across 4 key dimensions of our nature.
4 dimensions, what are they?
First, the physical dimension, taking care of your body. Proper nutrition, adequate rest, and regular exercise.
Exercise, the one everyone knows they should do.
Right. He suggests a minimum of 30 minutes, maybe 3-5 times a week, focusing on 3 areas: endurance, aerobic exercise, flexibility stretching, and strength resistance training.
And the common excuse is, I don't have time.
But Covey's counter is profound. You don't have time not to. The relatively small time investment in exercise pays huge dividends in the other 160 plus hours of the week. Increased energy, mental clarity, stress resilience. It directly boosts your capacity for focus and overall effectiveness. Skipping it is like neglecting essential maintenance on your most important tool.
Okay, physical. What's the second dimension?
The spiritual dimension. This is about connecting with your core values, your center, your commitment to your value system, renewing your sense of purpose.
How do people do that?
It varies greatly. For some, it's prayer, meditation, scripture study. For others, it might be spending time in nature, immersing in great music or literature, or engaging in meaningful service. It's closely linked to habit 2, reviewing and recommitting to your personal mission.
Third dimension.
The mental dimension, keeping your mind sharp, engaged, growing. Continuing education, formal or informal. Reading broadly and deeply.
He really emphasizes reading good literature.
Yes, exposing your mind to great thinkers, challenging your paradigms. Writing is another powerful tool, keeping a journal. Writing letters, it forces clarity and synthesis of thought. Avoiding mental stagnation.
And the fourth dimension.
The social-emotional dimension. This one is interesting because it primarily involves practicing the public victory habits 4, 5, and 6. Renewal here comes through making consistent EBA deposits, seeking win-win, practicing empathy, contributing to others' lives, affirming their worth. Unlike the other 3, which can be more solitary, this dimension is renewed in interaction with others.
So renewal isn't just about me time, it's also about tending to our connections.
Exactly. And having that daily private victory, maybe an hour dedicated to the physical, spiritual, and mental dimensions, provides the intrinsic security and strength needed to handle the challenges of the social-emotional dimension with patience, empathy, and proactivity.
It fuels everything else.
It fuels everything else. And this whole process, Covey emphasizes, isn't just about ticking boxes, it's an upward spiral.
An upward spiral.
Yes. Growth isn't linear. To move upward on this spiral, to higher levels of effectiveness, requires continually engaging in 3 actions. Learn, commit, and do.
Learn, commit, do, repeat.
On increasingly higher planes, you learn a principle, you commit to applying it, you do it, the second creation. That action yields new learning, which leads to deeper commitment, which leads to more effective action. It's a continuous cycle of growth and improvement, building that principle-centered core.
So, wrapping it all up, we have the foundational shift from personality to character, the PBC balance defining effectiveness, the maturity continuum from dependence to independence to interdependence, the private victory 1 to 3, enabling the public victory 4 to 6, all sustained by Renewal 7.
That's the framework. It's about building from the inside out. Character first, then relationships, all fueled by continuous self-investment.
The core message seems to be that real change, quantum change, starts internally, by changing how we see our paradigms, our maps.
That's the heart of it. The power lies within that space between stimulus and response, fueled by our unique human endowments.
Which brings us to that final thought Covey leaves us with, the idea of becoming a transition person.
Ah, yes. This ties back powerfully to habit 1, proactivity. We all inherit things from our families, our upbringing, our culture scripts, he calls them. Some are wonderful, but some can be negative.
Patterns of anger, criticism, victimhood, maybe even abuse or neglect. Things passed down through generations.
Exactly. We often unconsciously pass these negative scripts on to our own children, just perpetuating the cycle.
But a transition person,
A transition person consciously chooses to stop that script. They use their self-awareness, habit 1, their conscience, their imagination, their independent will to say, this stops with me.
they refuse to pass on the negative legacy. They rewrite the script for the future.
They become the link between the past and the future, actively choosing a different path based on principles. Instead of reacting to their conditioning, they act based on their values.
So by applying these habits, particularly the foundational proactivity, you gain the power not just to improve your own life, but potentially to change the trajectory for generations to come, giving your children, as he says, strong roots in principle and character and wings of independence and contribution.
It's an incredibly empowering idea. That choice to break negative cycles, to live effectively by principle, is maybe the ultimate expression of the 7 habits.